I'd like to welcome everybody to the school board meeting. It is 5:45 and it is February 11th. Almost said 10th there. And I'd just like to welcome everybody here. And as the chair, it is my privilege to welcome you to this meeting of the School Board of Manatee County. Your presence and participation are an essential element and a valuable part of school board meetings, workshops, and public hearings. To assist the school board in conducting the public's business in an orderly manner, we ask that you please adhere to the following school board meeting protocols. Please silence your cell phones and other electronic devices upon entering the school board chamber.
I'm good.
Okay. Please respect your fellow citizens and the school board by keeping conversation to a quiet minimum during the meeting. Please note that the capacity for attendance at school board meetings is limited to 75 seats inside the board chamber. In addition, there is a section in the back right-hand corner for wheelchair access and medically necessitated standing. And please refrain from clapping, booing, and speaking out from the audience or engaging in any other behavior that is disruptive to the business at hand. And with that, I would like to welcome our color guard from Southeast High School. It will be escorted by, the colors are going to be escorted by retired Lieutenant Colonel John Hetherington, and the cadets are Lizette Vasquez, Elisa Anchodo, Nyalinda Reyes, and Maria Go. So please join me in standing for the color guard. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. And Mr. Barber, come on down.
Thank you, Madam Board Chair, Board members, Superintendent Saunders. As always, we have some tremendous recognitions tonight, and so it's always a pleasure to celebrate our students and also other aspects of the school district. So if I could have you all come up. We got a special group tonight that you may recognize or feel like you've seen before, and I'll tell you why. Achieving excellence in a chosen field or competition is noteworthy. Sustaining excellence in a chosen field or competition is exceptional and rare. That is the stuff of dynasties. On November 23rd, 2019 in Daytona Beach, the Braden River High School Marching Band of Pirates won their third consecutive Class 3A state championship. The Pirates, under the direction of Jeremiah Bowman and assistants Cliff Dawson and Ricardo Robinson, have now won 5 state marching band championships since 2012. That is a remarkable record of accomplishment in any area of endeavor. And before I introduce the director of the band, I'd like to just show you all a brief clip of Okay, to tell us a little bit more about this special group, I'd like to introduce the director of the 5-time state champion marching band of Pirates, Jeremiah Bowman.
Thank
Thank you, Mr. Barber. Thank you, Chairman Messenger, fellow board members, and Superintendent Saunders for inviting us here today, again, thankfully, to honor the students of Braden River. Today we have 3 students representing the Marching Band of Pirates, senior and second-year drum major Penelope Sugg,
Good.
senior Clinton Engelberger,
Good.
and junior Allison Guzman. Also with us is Mr. Dawson, the Assistant Director of Bands.
Good.
Along with Mr. Dawson and Mr. Robinson, who unfortunately couldn't be here tonight, he's not feeling well, we are very thankful for our strong administrative leadership at Braden River, led by Mrs. Scarborough, and our district's commitment to the arts under Julie Hebert. Mrs. Scarborough back there.
Hey.
It takes a very special group of students, staff, parents, and administration to put together 3 consecutive state championships and 5 total since 2012. I would also like to thank those of you who came out to Braden River to watch us perform at the Community Showcase and our Invitational. It's really special to see you guys there, and I'm sure you would agree the kids were spectacular. This year's show was very special for all of us at Braden River. We found inspiration in Mrs. Scarborough's motto for Braden River, "The river keeps rising." And during the final movement of our show, the river did rise. The video you watched was actually from 2017, so I'll have to send you 2019 or 2018. Yeah. What was that? That was 16. 17. Oh gosh. Fortunate snap. Anyway, the drum majors have a small gift for each of you, a championship medal from this year.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Congratulations.
Okay, thank you.
Very generous of you guys.
Okay.
Again, just want to thank you all very much, and we are BR.
Thanks very much.
Good answer. Good answer.
Okay. Here we go. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Got it? Great. Thank you very much. We'll see him next year.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Congratulations, guys. Good job.
Yeah, Maya, nice to meet you, sir.
Tell Ricardo we're sorry we missed him.
Nice work.
Oh, sorry, Sharon.
Congratulations to you.
I'll see you Thursday night.
Congratulations.
Okay. This next recognition is more than it's a longer lasting annual tradition than what we just experienced. This is actually the 19th year of this contest, and it is the annual Martin Luther King Jr. Essay and Speech Contest that's sponsored by the Palmetto Youth Center. And they have winners every year in the middle school and high school categories. And in this year's contest, students were given 2 topics to choose from. The first is, if Dr. King were alive, what do you think he would say to the youth of today? The second was, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, if I cannot do great things, I can do small things in a great way. And then they were asked, what does that quote mean to you? So as we do every year, we're inviting the winners of the middle school contest and the high school contest to give their speeches before us. So I'd like to first introduce the middle school champion, and that's Layla Ward. She's an 8th grade student at Dr. Mona Jane Middle School. So, Layla.
Good evening. The title of my essay is called, What Would Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Say? 12 years, 3 months, 30 days, and 18 hours. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. fought for equality, not just for Birmingham, Alabama, but for the whole world. All the pain, suffering, and long sleepless nights. For what? Nothing, based on today's youth. Physically, we may not be segregated anymore, but mentally, we are. How is it that the youth of today are privileged enough to live together in harmony, yet we choose to live in division and with antagonism towards one another? On August 28, 1963, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. uttered those famous words, and I quote, "Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last," on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. But if Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was still alive today, I am sure he would have added, "But there is still work to be done, for we still live in bondage." I can envision Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and I sitting around discussing our views on the world. While sitting, I tell Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. how, as a youth in today's society and an African American young woman, I am privileged enough to be able to go to school and enjoy life with my fellow peers from all different races, religions, and backgrounds. But every single day, I am singled out emotionally by those of the same race as me. It's not just me. Many individuals have been disparaged by their peers from stereotypes that no one knows the origin of. Kids are being bullied because they don't fit a certain mold, but each kid that's being bullied brings us closer and closer to segregation and farther away from freedom. Freedom that you, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and my ancestors fought for years, and freedom that we are taking for granted. I would express my frustration that he expressed to our country that now is the time for a change, when he said, and I quote, "Now is the time to make justice a reality for all of God's children. It will be fatal for the nation to overlook the urgency of the movement." Where it seemed that immediately after those words were spoken, things started to change for the better, only to be destroyed as something null and void in the future. And after hearing all I had to say, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. would look at me, and I believe he would say, "Now, child, the fight for freedom and equality is a long and treacherous fight, one that can only be achieved by small steps, where we take each victory and thank God for the next. We must continue to fight with love, not violence." Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. died fighting for what he believed in, justice. From the famous "I Have a Dream" speech, in which Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. says, and I quote, "No, no, we are not satisfied, and we will not be satisfied until justice rolls down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream. I have a dream to live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. One day, right there in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers." It was Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream for our nation to have the freedom to be who we want to be, to not be judged by our skin color before judging our moral values. But that's not the case. The youth of today are quick to judge not by their peers' beliefs, but by their skin, their hair, or even how they talk. If Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was here to witness what's been happening in society, he would tell us that it takes faith to move a mountain, and we must come together and believe that we can move this mountain called inequality. It took 12 years, 3 months, 30 days, and 18 hours to get to where we are today, free of segregation. But how long will it take to rid the world of the hatred and division among our youth? Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream was to bring about equality for every single citizen throughout the world. Thank you.
That's an example of one of our 8th graders. Now, to introduce the champion of the high school competition, I'd like to introduce Nick Stanley, a senior at Lakewood Ranch High School. So, Nick?
Hello. The little things matter. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was born on January 15, 1929. He was born into a family who had served as pastors of the Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta, Georgia. During his life, he grew up in a world surrounded by racism and segregation, an unimaginable world compared to today's standards. Dr. King, in his fight to achieve equal rights, said, and I quote, "If I cannot do great things, I can do small things in a great way," unquote. To me, this means only one thing. You cannot expect to do great things if you cannot do the little things correctly. When I hear this quote by Dr. King, maintaining a positive mindset and setting goals are the small things that he mentions. I experienced this firsthand in a team sport. Little things have little or no meaning to some people. However, the little thing of maintaining a positive mindset does matter. Without a positive mindset, you will not be able to see improvement. For example, on my 12-man Raider team, we compete against other schools in the county. At our first competition, we ended up coming in first out of all the schools in the county. The next week, during practice, our coach noticed that we were not giving 100% of our effort during practice. Well, this was true because to us, it was our first practice back after the big win. At that point, our coach called us over for a talk. In this talk, he told us to get our mindset right because we cannot go into the next meet acting like we were already going to win. If we couldn't handle winning one meet, how could we win the state title? Dr. King understood maintaining a positive mindset when his house was bombed on January 30th, 1956. He spoke to an angry crowd of his supporters and urged them to maintain peace instead of violence. He handled his supporters carefully because a violent response would only lead to more violence. This, in turn, would jeopardize his end goal of equality. It is most important for people to maintain a positive mindset because it is a small thing that should always be present in order for someone to achieve great things. When faced with huge obstacles, one needs to set goals in order to conquer them. Setting goals will allow you to start with a small challenge and work your way up to achieve those impossible challenges. The first time I came out to practice with the Raider teams, the farthest I'd ever run was a mile. My end goal was keeping up during a 3-mile run. My first goal was to run a mile without stopping. Once I achieved that goal, I set another goal to run 2 miles without stopping. Eventually, I achieved my end goal of keeping up during a 3-mile run. Dr. King, in his fight to achieve equal rights, started off with small goals. He started off with the Montgomery bus boycott. Dr. King and his supporters staged a mass protest by not riding the buses in Montgomery, Alabama. The Supreme Court ruled that segregation on public buses was unconstitutional. That ended the protest. As a result, a bus boycott in Montgomery, Alabama had led to equality on buses across the nation. Setting goals is another small thing that should always be present for you to achieve great things. Dr. King stated, and I quote, "If I cannot do great things, I can do small things in a great way," unquote. To me, the small things Dr. King mentioned are maintaining a positive mindset and setting goals, because without them, you can never tackle your great challenge. Most of all, Dr. King wanted to achieve racial equality for everyone in this nation. Thank you.
Actually, I'd like Nick and Layla, if y'all could come up here for a second, and if the moms could come up here as well. I'd like you each to introduce your moms. They were accompanied by their moms tonight. So, Layla?
This is my mother, Tanika Ward.
Hi. Okay.
This is my mother, Araceli.
Okay.
Stay right here if you could. I can't think of a more fitting way than for them to be here to receive the proclamation for Black History Month. And February, as everyone knows, is the month that we celebrate Black history. And each year, the School Board of Manatee County honors and celebrates the contributions and sacrifices made by Black Americans to the history, culture of our county, state, nation, and world. And we do that with a special proclamation. And tonight, the proclamation will be read by School Board member Reverend James Golden. So.
Whereas the month of February is set aside each year to honor, celebrate, and remember the struggles, achievements, sacrifices, and contributions Black Americans have made on behalf of the United States of America and the world. And whereas the honoring of Black history in America dates back to 1926 and is now recognized and remembered with month-long celebrations in other countries, including Canada and the United Kingdom. And whereas Black or African American citizens have made rich and vibrant contributions to the history and culture of the state of Florida and to Manatee County, even in the face of ineffable discrimination and prejudice. And whereas Black educators have played a prominent role in the history of education in Manatee County, serving in every capacity, from bus driver to teacher to principal to superintendent to school board chair. And whereas we are dedicated to the teaching and commemorating of the proud legacy that Black History Month represents, now therefore be it proclaimed by the School Board of Manatee County that the month of February 2020 shall be known, designated, and set aside as Black History Month, adopted with a quorum present and voting this 11th day of February 2020. The School Board of Manatee County, Florida, Gina Messenger, Chair, Cynthia Saunders, Superintendent. You come here, because without y'all, I'll give this to the two of y'all, and I'll let you all decide what you want to do with it.
Let's get a picture. Reverend Golden, would you mind standing in the middle here?
No, I don't mind.
And Layla, if you could be on this side, Nick over here, and the moms right there.
Right. A color copy would be nice.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Barber.
Congratulations again.
Congratulations, guys. Thank you so much.
Children got the money, so that's all right. They got the
And
money.
a computer.
Yeah, and a computer. Yeah, they got the money and a computer, right? Let the mamas get the proclamation. Okay.
Okay. I'm going to move on to the approval of the agenda. The chair has found good cause to amend the agenda to include all items listed under agenda amendments on February 11th, 2020, agenda updated February 7th, 2020, and posted to the district website. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Okay, I've got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye and hit your button. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, let the record show it passed unanimously. Let's move on to the approval of the minutes. Madam Superintendent, do you have a recommendation?
Yes, I do. I recommend the approval of the minutes from January 28, 2020 workshop and regular meeting.
So moved.
There's a motion
Second?
and a second. Is there any discussion on the minutes? Okay, hearing none, we will vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye and hit your green button.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously. We will move on to the consent agenda. Madam Superintendent.
Yes,
for
I
recommendation.
recommend the approval of the consent agenda for February 11th, 2020.
So moved.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that. Michelle, there's no comment. Just want to double check. No, okay, just making sure.
Okay, there's a motion, and I believe Mr. Kennedy seconded if he'll hit his little green button. And all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously. We will move on to old business. And Madam Superintendent, do you have a recommendation?
Yes, I recommend the approval of the amended year-to-date financial statements through November 30th, 2019.
So moved.
There's a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none. Let's vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously. Let's move on to new business non-consent items, and we will move on to item number 1, which is approval of the budget amendments for December 2019. Madam Superintendent, do you have a recommendation?
Yes, I recommend the approval of the budget amendments for December 2019.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye and hit your green button.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously. We'll move on to item number 2, approval of the year-to-date financial statements through December 31st, 2019. Madam Superintendent, do you have a recommendation?
Yes, I recommend the approval of the year-to-date financial statements through December 31st, 2019.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Just one of those kind of nights, guys. Okay. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously. We'll move on to item number 3. Item number 3 is approval of new job description and position of title of school multi-tiered systems of supports, MTSS, specialist. Madam Superintendent, do you have a recommendation?
Yes, I recommend the approval of the new job description and position of school multi-tiered system of supports specialist.
So moved.
Second?
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Okay. We will move on to item number 4. And this one is ours, not the superintendent's, and it's approval of the letter supporting House bill and Senate bills related to renewable energy. So I'm looking for, I guess, a motion.
So moved.
There's a motion and a second on the letter that is in our record. Is there any discussion?
Yes, ma'am.
Vice Chair Kennedy?
This is mine, I will. I appreciate the board, or Chair Messenger bringing this to the agenda tonight. I spoke about this at our workshop on capital projects on Friday. And just for anybody who was not at that Friday workshop, essentially what's moving through, on the letter that's on the agenda, there's actually 3 pieces of legislation that are all working together to do the same thing. And it's giving school districts in Florida the flexibility to generate our own renewable energy resources. There is some inflexibility with dealing with public utility companies right now. And another aspect of it is that if a school district were to install renewable energy systems, the cost of those renewable energy systems would not count against the calculation of cost per student station, because under Florida law, there's a cap on how much school districts can spend on an educational facility. And so it would loosen that restriction if we were to invest in solar, for example, which is really what this bill is about. On the letter that is attached to the agenda, and again, I'm just a member of what's called the Manatee Clean Energy Alliance. The support for this bill was brought to me as a school board member from the Manatee Clean Energy Alliance, and that's why I bring it forward to this board. But of the 3 pieces of legislation that are on the letter, only House Bill 935 is moving. It went through the Innovations Committee on January 28th. It passed there 14-1. It went through the Appropriations Committee on February 5th, and it passed through that committee by a 26-0 vote. And then tomorrow it will be in front of its 3rd committee, which is the Education Committee. So I would suggest that because of the reality of what's happening in Tallahassee, perhaps we just we strike the other 2 bills and we just focus on House Bill 935. That's the only edit I would suggest.
I will amend my motion.
Before we.
I'll amend my motion to do that.
Okay.
I think I made the motion, right?
You sure did, and I will.
All right, and I'll amend the motion to do
Second
that.
your amendment.
I will amend my second. I think Dr. Hopes.
Oh.
But that's.
Mr. Minor, I'm sorry.
Mr.
You
Minor seconded
Yeah,
it, so
my mistake.
he's amending his motion. Mr. Minor's accepting those amendments.
Modifications. All right.
Great. Other than that, it's the only change I have.
Okay.
I do have a question now, because I've not read the 3. I know that one of the things I was concerned about was that the savings that would be realized from this would be school-based. Can you tell me whether or not that still holds with respect to the legislation that remains?
Reverend Golden, to be honest with you, I am not sure that language is in the legislation, but for practical purposes, the energy collected at the school site would have to remain on the site. I know we talked about this Friday, but I'll just repeat it for anybody that didn't hear. At our capital projects workshop, 2 capital project workshops ago, we had a presentation on solar, and one of our presenters, basically informed us or reminded us that if we start talking about battery storage power, that is going to raise the cost of the project quite a bit. It would raise the cost of the project so high, it would put it out of our reach. So any energy that was collected at the site would remain on site, just because we can't store it and we can't transmit it to other school locations. So it would, for all intents and purposes, it would have to stay on the school where the solar was collected.
That's right.
So, okay.
Thank you.
And kind of how Mr. Kennedy already said, we've talked a lot about solar at I think at length, and I think one of the things that we've talked a lot about is return on investment, and I'm not sure that it's there yet, but I think it will get there. And so if this will help make it that way for us, I'm supportive of that. So,
All right.
Can I say one more thing too?
I'm sorry, Dr. Hopes.
Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, and then the reason why I can support Mr. Kennedy's amendment is that what this bill merely does is it excludes from the cost cap any expenditures related to solar, which I think would help with regards to making it more allowable. With regards to where the savings reside, it would be up to the school board whether it's that institution specific, but I can support this because I don't believe that it should be applied to an arbitrary cap on a cost per student station.
Okay.
And the other bills are a little bit broad.
Vice Chair Kennedy, I know you have one more thing to add.
Yeah, I do. I just wanted to thank the board and the superintendent and our capital or our construction department. You know, we've been talking about this for a little while. Mr. Minor's been kind of a leader in this effort, and you know, it's just I really appreciate the board taking this kind of forward step to get behind this effort, because this is the way we are going. And I think it just shows leadership on our part to get out there and try to be a leader in the state of Florida on this. So thank you all. Appreciate it. That's it.
All right, any further discussion? All right. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye and hit your green button.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, that passes unanimously. And that moves us on to Vice Chair Kennedy, public comments.
We have, excuse me one second, we have 8 speakers signed up for tonight. Looks like everybody is well familiar with the rules, so I will skip that part. But Michaela Bulkins, are you here, Michaela? Michaela is a Southeast High student who is in the Environmentors group, but she may be waiting until the next. I believe she's coming next. She's coming to the next meeting? Okay, great, okay. Miss Demetra. Okay, we'll come back to her, no problem, thank you. Mr. Jones. Okay, we'll keep going. Reverend Mazon.
Good evening to this august body
Good evening.
of superintendent and all of you. The time has come to enhance the heat of justice. As members of the MCC4J and representatives of a small group of this community, we requested a thorough investigation for this district school board of this superintendent administrative actions. Just an investigation, not to criminalize anyone, but to look into her findings or the findings that has become so vivid in this community. But your arrogancy as elected officials, considering yourselves untouchable, have denied us an equal opportunity for justice in the matter of the LMA situation. I'm a biblical man and I believe in the scripture. The prophet Michael says, "He has shown thee, O man, what is good, and what do the Lord require of thee, but to do justly, and to love mercy, and to walk humbly with God." I indeed don't need the carrots that come down from the harvest of wickedness. We stand together that we may move forward to overcome the evil, the corruption, and the lies that has been infiltrated in our community and our churches. Let me remind you that lies are an infectious disease that spreads as a cancer. The purpose of the MCC4J organization is to aid the community. A is to address concerns, identify solutions, and defend the rights of everyone, and to educate our citizens. We believe that listening to the young girls and the young lady and the young man that talked about the Martin Luther King speech, I don't think that there's anyone on this board actually heard the significance of that speech. I believe that in the mind of you, you think you're invisible. But I'll assure you that we are not going anywhere, and we will fight until the end. God bless you.
Thank you, Reverend Mason. Okay, Mr. Mitchell, you want to come on? Mr. Mitchell, just so we have your name for the minutes, what is your last name?
Warren.
Warren?
Warren,
Okay.
W-A-R-R-E-N.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Basically, my question tonight is, what is the district's policy on bullying? Because my 10-year-old son, for the last 3 years or longer, has been being bullied. The school, I reported it verbally to his assistant principal. Nothing was ever done. Everything was turned around on him. He ended up getting kicked out of school. For what, I don't know, because I found out the same day that they kicked him out of school, that he was kicked out. Never got a letter or anything. Then I was told that he was trespassing because the bus driver, who knew that he was no longer a student at that school, still took him to that school, transported him to the school, which I'm sure that's probably, she wasn't supposed to do it against the law. Anyway, like I said, my son has ADHD, and all the times I called the school to tell them that he was being bullied, nothing was done. All I got was, here's a paper for Hope Scholarship. You can fill out for that. Or, can I start you a 504 plan? Sure, go ahead and start it. Filled out for the McKay Scholarship, found out he never had a 401 plan. 504 plan, so that was a lie. So basically, my kid getting screwed around here. It's been, tomorrow will be 3 weeks. He has not been in school because I refuse to put him in that miniature prison Horizons. I'm not putting him there. He do not belong there. That school screwed up, and somebody's gonna pay for it.
Ms. Warren? What school is your son at? Or, I know he's at Horizons now, but where was he before?
Gullet.
At Gullet? Mr. Rio, would you mind
Yeah, and.
talking to Ms. Warren?
I spoke with, who was that?
Mr. Rio?
I spoke with him on the phone.
Superintendent Yost will talk to you.
I spoke with her too. I spoke with him on the phone. He never called me back. I'm done talking to him. I already spoke with her, told her my concern. I'm done talking to her.
So, Superintendent?
You'll get her
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Warren. Ms. Phillips? Joanna, you're up next. Yep. And Ms. Parham, you're up after her. Okay. Ms. Parham? Okay. Barbara Thompson? Oh, yeah, I did. I thought you were passing too, but after her, you can come back up. Welcome.
I want to first preface my remarks by saying I have spoken to the appropriate people at each of the schools that I want to speak about, to no avail. No one will return my calls. And to say that we're frustrated is an understatement. The first one is directed at Manatee High School, where my grandson attends school. He is enrolled in a class called weightlifting. Do you want to know what they do in weightlifting class?
Before you continue, I just want to, just real quick, since you're new, could you just please not bring up any employees specifically by name? It's in our bylaws for public comment.
I'm not bringing anybody up by
I just want to make sure you didn't, that's all.
No, I read
had
the
a feeling we
bylaws.
might be
I
headed
won't
that
do
way,
it.
that's
I
all, so.
appreciate that you pointing that out.
Sorry to interrupt
No.
you.
They weightlift one day a week. The rest of the week, they watch football films, and they're graded on it. I'm sorry, if it's a football class, then it should be listed as a football class, not as a weightlifting. Number two, you all spent a great deal of money to put a new scoreboard up at Manatee High School. They never used, for the last 5 games of the year, no scoreboard was used. And to me, that's a waste of money. My next one is directed at Palmetto High School, where my friend's godson goes. We go to all the basketball games, the JV games. The coach tells the kids that he played for a 1A college team. His coaching skills don't show that to us, but anyway, we asked the AD at that school, where did he go? They won't return our calls. I don't understand if a parent or a grandparent, I happen to have custody of my grandson, if we're asking questions, it's because we're concerned. And I would think that the schools and the administration would appreciate our concern, because there's too many parents today that turn them over to the school and say, it's yours and leave me alone. And we're not in that, we don't fall in that category. And so I have tried to address these with the specific schools to no avail, and I would appreciate your all's help. Thank you.
We'll make sure somebody gets back to you.
Thank you.
Ms. Parr? Oh, and Ms. Thompson, by the way, the scoreboard at Manatee High was paid for by private funds. That was not funded by the school district.
Oh, okay.
That was private fundraising.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
I am coming to talk about the upcoming town hall meeting at LMA. I'm not sure, well, I know you guys know about it, how much you have to do with it, I'm not sure. My concern is that they're asking for the community to come out and share what it is that can be done with the school to make it better. Because from my understanding, it was a much better school the year before. As a matter of fact, it was probably a much better school years before, because this year, I don't know what is going on. Talking about putting kids in harm's way, you guys have created a hostile environment for the school, for the staff. The kids are disruptive. You have teachers walking out in fear of things that are happening to them because of the students that are just out of control. That didn't happen the year before with LMA. As a matter of fact, the school was going down the right track. You just didn't give it a chance. Instead, you took over and now have created nothing but a bunch of chaos. And now you want the community to come and give you suggestions, help, pointers. Well, the community wasn't brought. After the whole takeover and everything, you guys never did ask the community to come back to see what they felt about anything. None of that was ever done. None of that was ever asked. And if this is supposed to be a school that's for the community, why wait now when the school is almost to the point where it may not be able to turn around? Now you want the help of the community? It just does not seem fair to me, to the students there, or to the parents who are sending their kids there. So I will be at the town hall meeting. I'm sure you know that. And I will have my say. Thank you.
Thank you. Susan Bischoff? Ms. Rhodes, I don't have you down here to speak, but I know you've been here since 5 o'clock, and I can't imagine you would, so. No, it's okay. Board members, would you mind if Ms. Rhodes came up to speak? Okay, come Good afternoon.
This really, well, Reverend Mazon already told you all we're not going anywhere. We're going to fight till we get our school back. But my main concern is yesterday, I always go to lead a women's voters Democrat meetings at the Women's Club, and it surprised me. I know Manatee County can't do like Sarasota County, but I found something from Ms. Brown, what she said. Over in Sarasota County, they only build schools if other school is over the capacity. They just don't build school to build school. And my problem is I keep thinking about my school, Palmetto High School. Y'all building schools out and then take care of Palmetto with the flooding there where the kids have to walk through the school. Now, we didn't need Parish High School because I don't find out y'all did something else to bring the kids out there because the kids is not out there and the parents say they're not going out there. So y'all going back through a rezone, and they say you can rezone all you want, they not going. They going to Palmetto and it's school choice. And if they go hardship, you have to give them that choice. So we didn't need that school out there right there. Just because they got subdivision out there, you got to have the bodies to put in that school. Don't come in our neighborhood to take the kids to take that ride way out there to Parish High School. And another thing, the lady who was up here talking, I'm not going to say anything. I go to all the games because I was athletic, all my kids and everybody else. After when I leave here, I'm going to the game. That coach wouldn't say nothing like that to tell his players, I'm telling you. I know him real well, and I'm saying this, if you did not get a call from that coach, he very mannerable and everything, he don't work at that school. And I think they should call the head coach, and the head coach will tell where your JV coach phone them and everything. But he very nice, and I be at the game. So that's it. So y'all need to think about that. Don't build a school because the subdivision out there. You're going to have to take our kids out of our neighborhood to fill that school. And we don't need that. And like the kids say, they staying at Palmetto High. Even with the one coming from Lincoln, they going, and you can't stop the parents. Or the parents to take them somewhere else. And we didn't need that school out there. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rhodes.
I had her name.
Yeah, I think Michelle added her when she came up to speak. Yeah, thank you. Okay, that concludes public comment.
All right, let's move on to workshop item requests. Okay, I just want to remind the board that we have a workshop scheduled for the 27th, which is after our next board meeting. So there is not a workshop in between these two board meetings. It's a Thursday, not a Friday. We couldn't make a Friday work. I know we've been doing the Fridays and finding that was beneficial, but this is a Thursday. It's going to focus a lot on the audit committee, Citizens Financial Oversight Committee. I also asked that the audit from CRI be presented that didn't get presented at the last workshop. So it'll be a lot about the auditing and those types of things. I think Byron talked about risk assessment, so we might talk more about the 5-year plan that was created. So I think there'll just be a lot of that conversation, and that'll be on the 27th. Yes, Mr. Kennedy.
Thank you. I just had one request for that workshop. If we had talked about doing this previously, but I don't believe it's happened, where both committees had asked the board to take a look at, for lack of a better term, we kind of had a backlog of recommendations that have been made to the board by both committees, and both committees were seeking some clarity of direction from us to them. So if we could include that.
I absolutely agree with that. I think, and I think that was something that we talked about, that we should definitely make sure that those things come before us, and let's really talk about them and discuss them, because we didn't really even get to do that even at the last time things were presented to us, because we just ended up running out of time. So this is a good chunk of time so we can hopefully have those conversations and figure out guidance so that we can give the guidance we need to the district.
Oh, and if I may, one more thing real quick. Now that we're in an open meeting and I can say this, I just want to thank you, Chair Messenger. Moving workshops to off of Tuesdays has a stroke of genius that this board should have implemented 30 years ago. So I thank you for the foresight, because I think we work a lot better when those workshops are not on Tuesdays leading into this. So thank you for doing that. I
appreciate that. I think it works better. We have a lot more time to talk, and we don't feel so crunched, and our brains are fresher for the board meetings. And I think it's good in a lot of ways. Madam
I
Superintendent.
think there was another topic on that one too. There were 3 topics. What was the third one? I know the audit was,
I know
the strategic, was it the strategic plan?
Oh, yes.
Okay, yes, Kevin.
So there is time carved
Okay,
out for that
there
as
you
well.
go, right.
And that will be noon. That'll start at noon on the 27th. And like I said, that's a Thursday, not a Friday this time around. I hope that's okay for everybody. I try to do Fridays. I know that that's better, but we couldn't make a Friday work. And I know this was a topic.
2 weeks of the legislative
I'm s-
session.
I mean,
Budget time.
um,
We'll make it work.
okay.
I'll use the district's plane.
Oh, all right. I didn't know they had one of those, but you know.
Chair.
Yes, Reverend Golden.
Yes, I just want that, it seems to me that last month, when we were preparing to be supportive of the community meeting at St. Paul regarding the committee meeting that they had over there, we were going to bring a workshop to, and I'm not, I don't want us to lose sight of that. I know the 4 of you all were there, and we're part of the cultural competency dialogue. But I thought that we were going to bring that back and put it into an official channel and make some decisions about how we were going to handle that. And I didn't know what had happened. I thought we had talked about a workshop. That's what the reason I'm bringing this up, so.
That is true, and I asked for one to be put on today as you had requested, but I was given other information, and you know, you and I can't talk about it beforehand, so maybe the Madam Superintendent can illuminate a little bit more.
It really was a presentation from Dr. Billings, and she is here through March. We had asked for some dates when she's available. She is going to be doing that same presentation to the K-12 principal meeting in March the 4th. Her dialogue in and of itself was not a workshop. It's a presentation. So I think after that, we need to see how we can transfer that into a workshop topic with how we're closing the achievement gap with multiple facets. But really, she did a PowerPoint presentation to that group.
Well, let me be very clear. How we get this done, I have no problem with, as long as we are not being accused again of unilaterally and arbitrarily making decisions on behalf of the community that the community has not had any say-so in. So this notion that we removed it from the workshop and that we are now going to take administrative action, I'd like to know if the people that invited us there are aware of the actions that we are going to take, because they are not circumscribed by the Sunshine Law or what have you.
Oh, no, that decision was made, remember, by an email by the president of the organization.
Okay.
And said that any type of workshop that was affiliated with the organization had to run through her agency, and she had to approve if it was being done in that context.
Okay, so we are not having a workshop, and I'm simply asking if we have gone back to that organization and we're not waiting on a workshop. We're going to move forward in an effort to provide some type of cultural competency commitment to the community.
We are working on a cultural competency commitment. We do have a diversity committee with many folks representing that, some of which are part of that organization, that were in attendance of that Dr. Billings presentation. I'm also bringing Dr. Billings back to present her PowerPoint presentation to all of our K-12 principals. But from there, I think we need to go back and ask either from my diversity group or the organization in and of itself, how they can move forward and see if we need to come up with a different context for a workshop. But probably bring in United Way and grade level reading and a lot of different agencies that are working on closing that achievement gap. But that's why it was removed due to the request of, yeah.
Okay. And I thank you for that expanded version of the direction in which we're headed. But I want to be clear that we are also moving in this direction under the aegis of what I understand was a previous commitment by a previous superintendent, as a matter of fact, to engage in a cultural competency commitment to the community. And so I'm just wanting to make sure that we are not being accused of something that we haven't already said that we are committed to achieving.
No, and I think when we investigated that a little further, Charlie had a notebook too. I guess there were like 3 meetings and it dissolved, I think, within itself. They never, different circumstances happened and it just kind of fell apart.
Well,
But Charlie has a lot of background because you had representatives on the committee as well, right?
I don't want to get into waking up what actually happened as to how that was executed. But the charter, and I want to be very clear about this, the charter of the organizational structure that was in place gave authority to the superintendent to name the participants in that process. And I don't have a problem. I'm gladdened that we are now reformulating and reprocessing to be more inclusive than the signatories to that original organizational scheme.
Right.
The original organizational scheme was something that was designed between the school board and one organization in the community. What I'm hearing you say is that you have, if I'm not hearing you say this, tell me I'm not, but what I'm hearing you say is that you have taken that foundation and you are moving to expand the inclusion aspect of the cultural competency. After all, cultural competency embraces inclusion, and what I'm hearing you say is that you are embracing more organizations. I think you named 2 or 3 right here tonight. Okay, if all of that is being done in lieu of the workshop, that's what I'm asking. And if it is being vocalized and verbalized, then I'm happy.
Oh, yes,
I just don't want us to be accused of going off down the road somewhere without, first off, any authority, and second, without any input, and thirdly, and most importantly, without being as inclusive as we can.
Sure. Right.
So I want to say that on the record, in public, so that later on, when there's another public comment, and folk come in and say, well, why are you all doing this, and why are you talking to them, and why are you not talking to us, we are able to say this is why. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir, it does. And, our Diversity and Inclusion Committee represents many agencies and many entities at the table. And it's focused on really how are we going to improve our practices with all the employees in the organization so that we can better serve the children that are represented in our school district, and not just on closing the achievement gap, but in understanding everyone's acceptance within our organization.
And so to conclude this, I just want to be clear, because you had brought up Mr. Kennedy having been involved before, and I want to ask if there is a different understanding that you have of the history or a different understanding of the direction in which we need to be going to facilitate this cultural competency commitment. And I'm asking him because apparently he was involved in...
His partner was, his better half was...
My media Naranja.
Yes.
Yo, who? What was that? No,
It means
I'm just...
Was
half
on
the
the
orange.
board. Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Moving on.
Can I address this real quick?
Yes, please.
Thank you. No, my better half, Lisa, was actually, I was not on the committee, Lisa was.
Yeah.
And Lisa, God bless her, I always get on her because she's got stuff all over her office, but there was that binder from 2015. And so sure enough, there was the charter.
Yeah.
So when Susie called me about it, I said, I checked with Lisa, and there it was. So, and Lisa's recollection was just like the superintendent said, they had met a few times, but then it just, it just kind of fizzled out for whatever reason. That's, to clear that up, I was not actually a member of the committee.
Okay.
But I was someone who was on it. So that's where I came in.
I don't want to
And I share
belabor
your
this.
desire to.
Right,
Thank
I
you.
don't want to make this a workshop right
No,
now.
no, I understand, but the last point that I want to make is that I'm not so sure I understand as a concept, fizzle out. You see, it may be dormant, it may not be active, but if it was given vitality by this board or by the members of the board or by a superintendent, it still lives. So I don't understand fizzle out. What I'm saying to you is that until we fizzle it out, or until you bring us a different fizzle, it still works. And I just want to make sure that we are in accord with that and that the community is not out there, believing that we're not doing anything.
I don't view it that way.
Okay,
Gee, I just want to add one thing.
okay.
Mr. Kennedy.
Just to clear this up, it was not an act of the board, it was an act of Dr. Green. So,
I'm
but I
just-
agree with you that the
Yeah.
charter, it's still there. It's
Yeah.
dormant, I think that's a good word for it.
Yeah.
But I just want to clear that up right away.
Okay.
Okay, so just moving forward, just to make sure that we're all on the same page, at some point, there will be a workshop when all of these agencies have come together so that we can have a more cohesive plan presented to the board so that we can all be
the
on
action
board.
steps of what we're doing moving forward, based on all of our meetings up until that point.
That's good.
Okay. Legal update.
Okay.
As mentioned at the workshop, the recommendations of the auditor on the construction contract have now been inserted into the contract in a red line. The legal counsel collaboratively worked on the contract. In addition, some other recommendations were included into the new contract. It's been sent to the Construction Services Department, and they're reviewing it. The next step after that is it'll be reviewed also by the auditors to see if they're happy with the changes that they recommended being inserted into the contract. So that's underway. That's all I've got.
Instructional update.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. Last Saturday was a very busy day at MTC where we conducted or held our science fair for elementary students, as well as the largest robotics competition in the state for elementary students. Over 600 students participated in the robotics competition. It was an amazing day. Additionally, we are addressing summer school and summer camps at this time. Plans are underway. No decisions have been made at this time regarding locations, times, etc. But I wanted each board member to know that we are addressing it and that information should be brought forward shortly. That concludes my report this evening.
Mr. Wagner is not here. Is anyone going to give his operations update, or are we just going to skip it tonight?
We're still operating.
Thank you for the operations update.
He thought that you would be okay with a pass tonight.
Absolutely. I heard that he is under the weather, and he should. I hope he's asleep with some NyQuil right now.
Me too.
All right, then superintendent remarks.
Yes, I do want to highlight our education, our Excellence in Education Awards, that most of you, of course, were in attendance. It was just a really wonderful event. As I stated at the evening, I think it's gotten better and better every year, far more attended every year. But our Educator of the Year was Miss Faith Bench, who is a math teacher at Braden River Middle School. So we want to give a shout out to her, as well as the Support Employee of the Year, Miss Allison Cooper at Williams Elementary School. So it certainly was wonderful. So many wonderful employees that work in our district, and these are just two examples of many. Also, I appreciate Charlie and Miss Messenger, Mr. Kennedy and Miss Messenger, attending our grand opening of our first school-based health clinic yesterday. It really was a huge undertaking and achievement that is so beneficial to the students in that school community. And I do believe it's just going to be one of many. Manatee L, we are expecting it to open in August. So that will be the second one. And it really is going to be able to add medical, mental counseling, vision, dental services to students in family in need. So it really is going to be a game changer for our district. For those parents that are interested in school choice, that window of acceptance closes tomorrow, so they will be getting notifications. We had over 2,000 applications that applied for choice. So those parents that are awaiting to determine where they're going to send their child next year, they will be getting that very, very soon. So again, notification will be forthcoming. And we do have Thursday an event with our Manatee Arts Education Council. It's a mix and mingle at SCF Library, and it is from 5:30 to 7. Those of you that are interested in going to that, I think that's going to be worthwhile. We also have the Fire Academy Awards Ceremony Thursday from 6 to 7 at MTC. That's coming from Mr. Wagner. And night on the 5th is Wednesday, the 19th, from 6 to 7. We'll be recognizing many of our art students and all of their wonderful paintings and colorings and artwork that we have framed in our gallery. So those are all the things that are coming up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I have a question.
Reverend Golden.
Yes. Madam Superintendent,
Yes, sir.
did I understand you to say that the window for choosing where you want to go to school next year closes tomorrow?
It's already been closed. They're processing everything, so all the notification will be coming soon. Hardship, the choice window closed, but it was open for hardship, and that closes tomorrow. So all notifications will be coming shortly thereafter.
So only hardship applications are being accepted, and that will close tomorrow. So if you do not already have in the hands of the school board your request for choice, or if you do not have your hardship request in by tomorrow, then next year you will be zoned to go.
You will be going to your zone school.
Okay, I just want to be clear about that.
Yes, sir.
And how long has that word been out?
Well, it started before Christmas break, so it's been going on for a little bit, but still, sometimes parents aren't thinking about next school year at this time of year, but yes.
Well, I just want to be clear, because between now and August, when the kids come back, I need to know that what we're saying is if you come in and ask your child to be choice to another school, the answer is going to be no.
Chances are it will be denied.
All right. I just think we ought to just get that out there so that people will know that.
Yes, sir.
You see, and not feel like we're hiding something or concealing something. You see. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Moving on to board comments. Mr. Minor, start us off.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Briefly touch on a few things. The Excellence in Education Award ceremony was the best that I've ever seen. I get a little weepy about it. It was so good because we were right up front in our table and right next to the singers and the Mamma Mia. I almost got up and started singing and dancing with them, but it was just a fantastic production, and it was better than any Academy Awards that I've ever seen. And if anybody wants to see something really great, a lot of emotion, get a rerun on it on TV. Dr. Billings was the greatest presentation about this topic I've ever heard in dealing with children of challenge and color and diversity. It's, I'm not sure if it was filmed or not. If anybody is aware of it, I would love to have it, run on our TV. And it was that good. And over at St. Paul's, and the NAACP did a great job. I see Pat shaking her head and saying, no, it wasn't. Okay, she didn't allow it. Okay. But they does have a website, she told me, where a lot of her information is available. She's right now living way up north in Apollo Beach, and just a wonderful lady, and that was a thrill. I made a trip up to Orlando yesterday, and the main topic was what was going on someplace further north in the Panhandle, Tallahassee. And I like to say Tallahassee is a place where campaign rhetoric encounters the reality of PAC political contributions in affecting public policy, and that seems most true when it comes to talking about support of public education. And how do we deal with that? There's so much money that seems to want to divert from the needs of public education. It really upsets me. And we hear campaign rhetoric about the importance of public education, and then they say, well, we just don't have the money. Well, the amount of money is determined by them, and what they determine is the amount of money through raising from taxes is influenced significantly by contributions we don't really even know about. PACs who just representing folks who do not want to, have additional public money available for great public needs like public education. And that's why I say reality of campaign rhetoric meets the reality of public PAC. How do we deal with it? We all need to be calling up our representatives and say, we want to hold you to finding the money. We aren't going to take the excuse if you don't have the money. You have the power to raise the money to meet a great public need. That's the message I think that we all should be giving to them. That was my conclusion of all the information. That was discussed by lobbyists and other board members of the Central Florida Public School Board Coalition. But we're doing great things, and here, and I think across the state, and we have to get a message as to our representatives and everybody in the legislature that don't give us the excuse that you can't get the money to support public education the way it should be supported in Florida. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Dr. Hopes.
Thank you. I'm a man of few words tonight. This flu is taking its toll on me. Everybody wash your hands, wash your hands, wash your hands, wash your hands, and if you're sick, stay home, like I did. Thank you.
Is that it?
That's it.
Wow, you weren't kidding. Reverend Golden.
Thank you, Madam Chair. When I joined the board a year ago, I had said that I wanted to try to be a part of reaching out to the community. And for a year or so, I have been committed to meeting at the Lakewood Ranch YMCA from 6 to 8, one night during the week before the board meeting. And last year, several people showed up, but I have come to find that the people that show up have a issue, and they just come. And what I was hoping to do was to create a convenience for people who might not be able to come, like this lady did tonight with her kid, and air her grievance beforehand. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to modify the commitment. I just can't sit there waiting for 2 hours to see if anybody will show up. I will come because I do want to make it convenient for those who want to be able to talk other than just here, or who cannot get down here. And so what we're going to do is we're going to continue the commitment to the 6 to 8 by appointment. And I have developed a schedule for the rest of the school year leading up from now until May, so that anyone who wants to come, and I say anyone, and I'm not trying to get anybody else's members from the other districts to come, but I'm just going to be there. And I hope that's not a problem. If you don't want me to talk with the people in your districts, just let me know, and I'll say, no, y'all have to go see so-and-so and so. And otherwise, I'll talk with them, even though I know we can't talk about it. Sometimes people just want to talk. They just want you to listen, and they don't even expect an answer. So I'm willing to do that, and I'll modify that to the extent that I'm not going to be there every time 6 to 8 the week before the school board meeting takes place, but I'll be there for appointments. And I would like to use our administrative assistant to do that, to arrange those times. Well, we'll until we get our own, we'll use the administrative assistant to the director of strategic affairs, if that's all right. Is that okay? All right. Did she drink water so she wouldn't say what she was really thinking? Okay. That's all I have tonight. Thank you.
Silence is golden.
Silence is golden,
See what I
okay.
did there?
Yeah, that was good. That was good.
All right, Vice Chair Kennedy.
I will be quick as well. I would just want to concur with what Deputy Superintendent Yost said about the VEX competition on Saturday. I'd never been to one of those before, so I didn't even know what I was walking into. And then I said to Mr. Marshall from Witt Elementary on my way out, like, this is better than a college basketball game on a Saturday afternoon. Because like the first team that came up, and it was really cool when the teams came up for the finals, it was kids from 2 different schools that had to team up together for the competition. And so there was an 81 in the first team to go, and then and then another 81, and then the final team, the 10th team to go, got an 84. So they it was very dramatic. It was very cool, and the kids were all very excited. So that I will definitely be going back to that for the next one. The other thing too is we have 3 items being named at Parish Community High School. Mrs. Mary Miller and the former colleagues and friends of Walter Miller, whose name is going on the stadium, have reached out to me. They were kind of looking for some clarity on what's the board policy and what are the rules about district support and board support for funding for those naming those naming pieces, for lack of a better term. So I think it's it would take an action of the board that if we wanted to provide support in some way. But from my looking at it, it looks like we would just have to be personally supportive of some kind of effort to help them raise funds, because it looks like from everything that I've looked into, we are not allowed to, the district is not allowed to spend funds on naming. So I just wanted to, I told the group to, I thank them for reaching out to me. I asked them to reach out to you all as well.
We still have the highest bidder.
Well, these are already named. So for the next one, yeah, we'll call it Pepsi Stadium or something like that. And then finally, the superintendent's already mentioned it, but I just want to talk about Southeast High's Health Center for 1 second. Not only, you know, the superintendent was very gracious giving me the credit for this, but it doesn't belong to me. It belongs to the community members that brought the idea to me, and then the superintendent kind of turned the key on the ignition of this project, and that's what got it going. And I just wanted to express support for Principal Rosa Faison, because she is the one that jumped in with both feet and said, yes, bring this to my campus, and she will be the one that is overseeing the facility on her own campus. So she took on a lot of work for the sake of her students, and I think she deserves some recognition for that. And then finally, MCR, Manatee, formerly Manatee County Rural Health, now MCR Health Services. It's just really been a pleasure to work with them. You know, I look at what MCR has done for us with these two projects at Manatee and Southeast, and I think about what we could potentially do with MCR for the sake of our employees and our dependents that are in our healthcare plan. I know that's collective bargaining, so I won't bring it up, but I just want to plant that seed of an idea that when we have that conversation next time, we might want to think about some options that MCR could present to us. Just a thought. What else is coming up? Oh, you said the mix and mingle, and then also not only are the Braden River girls basketball team in regionals, but Manatee High School girls are also alive in regionals as well. I know the boys basketball programs are kind of a week behind, but Thursday night after the mix and mingle, you got two options. Braden River are playing at home, and Manatee High girls basketball is playing at home too. So get out and see some basketball. It's February. It's almost March Madness time. So get into it. That's it. Thank you, Gina.
Okay, just to wrap it up, Excellence in Education Awards were wonderful. They always are. It's always just a joyful time, and congratulations to Miss Bench and Miss Cooper. That was wonderful. And to really hit on the school-based health clinic at Southeast, it's health center. It's really exciting for the students and for the community. And I said this to the superintendent yesterday. I really feel like that sends a message to the community, you know, and I appreciate that. And I think with that, at 7:12,
Is this a new record?
I will adjourn the meeting with no objections.
Nice job. None whatsoever.
Thank you.
Thanks.